All right. Welcome to another episode of We Love Entrepreneurship, and I'm excited. I have Nicole here with me today. Nicole, why don't you say hello to the community and tell them a little bit about your coaching business?
Thank you, first of all, so much for having me on your podcast. Hello to your amazing listeners. And my name is Nicole Rogers. I'm an empowerment transformation coach, and I help influencers, speakers, artists, and public figures to create the impact that they desire and change the world through a powerful presence. So, what is a powerful presence? Well, it's not just my signature program, but it really is the core of the work that I do, which is helping my clients to reframe how they think, act, and feel from a place of power rather than from fear or limiting belief. So they end up with what I call a fearless toolbox that allows them to really create a life that they love waking up to.
I love that in the work that you're doing. Just before we go there, because I want to dig into some of that you said, I want to start off talking a little bit about your journey into entrepreneurship. So, Nicole, before you had this amazing coaching business. What were you doing before you got here? What was life like before you started this coaching business?
Yes, I have quite a journey to entrepreneurship for sure. And I have to say, and I imagine a lot of your listeners feel the same way, that when they found entrepreneurship, and I know you've shared this with your listeners and with me too, that there was kind of like a home, that maybe they were searching for other things and confused why they were frustrated in other careers or not getting the results or the fulfillment they wanted. And it was the biggest surprise to me that entrepreneurship was the answer. If
Mhm.
somebody had said that before I went through everything, I probably would have been like, nah. But my journey. Okay, so I'll try and give the short version. So my first career was as a musical theater performer and choreographer. And
Nice.
I performed on stages all over, and I really was doing great in my career, except the whole reason that I came to New York City was to be on Broadway. And it was becoming like a joke. It was like I was literally doing everything but. So, national tours, New York City Rockette, commercials, short films, all this stuff. And I couldn't seem to achieve the whole reason I was there. And
Hmm.
so what was happening for me was I had a very loud inner critic. And from dealing with so much rejection, I had no self-trust, a lot of doubt, and deeply frustrated. And so after being in the business for mm, 19 years, yeah, 18, 19 years, my whole life fell apart. In 1 year's time, I lost a 15-year marriage, my home. I was in two car accidents and I was robbed twice.
Hmm.
And pretty much everything that I knew of my life, it was like it went up in a giant bonfire. This was 2013, and I always call it my year of the flame.
Hmm.
And so what happened in the face of losing so much was I decided to ask for help. And it was the first time I had done that. I had thought that um, I would be weak if I
Right.
asked for help. Like, I always was disciplined and driven. I was raised in a military family, like I can figure it out. And here it was like, it was a real crisis moment of recognizing that everything I built up in my life to this point actually wasn't serving what I wanted moving forward.
Hmm.
So, in asking for help, I started seeking, and I had this voice that came up in my head that said, "You need meditation." And I remember thinking, that's probably a good idea. Like everything's falling apart. And I started seeking different types of meditation. And I went to this healing circle. It was at the Shambhala Center down in Chelsea, New York. And I'd never been to a support group before. I was terrified. Do I even belong here? They're passing around the mic, and I'm like, oh my God. And it came to me, and I decided to do something I'd never done before publicly, which was be vulnerable and
Mm,
honest. And so I just poured out my heart and I said, here's what I'm going through in my life. And I found that people came closer. And then the people after me, then it seemed to open up something in them to share as well. And it was just this radical moment of going, oh my God, I've been wrong. Like all these years as a performer, I had thought that if I showed up vulnerably, I would be rejected.
mm,
And yet here I was finding the exact opposite, that it was like my vulnerability and my honesty was actually creating a safe space for others to do the same. And so that, I didn't know it at the time, but that experience was really the seed of powerful presence of the work that I do.
right.
And so I went through this awful year. I didn't work much in my profession, obviously, because I was losing so much. And I came into 2014 and I had this feeling of possibility. And at the time, I was 38 and I didn't know, what does it mean as a woman to create my own life? I got married at 22.
Mm,
I'd gone from my parents' home to college to a
mm,
marriage. There was no like, who am I and what does this mean? So I got on the phone with a coach, a life coach,
mm,
and she asked me, what do you want? And I shared my dream with her. And she said, that's possible, right? And I just started bawling because it was just that she believed in me. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
right.
And so I started working with her. And she was brilliant because she got me back in touch with a childhood love, which was writing. So as an adult, I had put all of my energy into these other forms of artistry that I thought were going to make me money. But the
Mm,
writing was always something that I loved, but I had kind of put it away, you know? So she got me back in touch with the passions and the things that really light my fire. And I start a blog. Meanwhile, I have a complete resurgence in my performance career. And this is after 19 years in the business.
mm,
Directors and choreographers that had never paid attention to me are suddenly going, Nicole? And it wasn't just that, it was that I felt fearless. I felt like I could make mistakes. It was kind of like perfection was going out the window.
right.
And I was doing my best work. And I was like, okay, whoa, none of this was taught by any of my teachers in any of my classes.
Right.
And yet, this is what is actually creating the deepest connection and the best relationships and allowing me to really stand powerfully in front of my audience. So, my coach was like, okay, now you need to monetize the blog. And I'm like, what's that mean? I don't know. I was like doing a production of Little Mermaid at the time. And so she took me through an exploratory process. And at the end of it, I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe this, but I want to do what you're doing, but I want to teach about this powerful presence.
Right.
So I didn't want to just, like hang up a sign and be like, I'm a coach. I was like, nope. Like I want skills. I want to make sure that, because I really see it as a sacred space between
Right.
me and the client. And so I got fully certified with ICF and hired a business coach. And in 2015, opened up the doors to my business and became an entrepreneur. It was like, wow, I thought it was going to be being a choreographer or being a performer or so, like, and it wasn't. It was entrepreneurship. It was creating my own company that
Right.
was actually what brought all of me under an umbrella to be able to really feel whole and fulfilled. And I think I feel do the work that I was meant to do. But thank goodness for all of those things that led me to that point. But yeah, what a windy path.
Right. No, it's an amazing, right? Because it's a journey. And I think that's what a lot of people actually miss. It's not a straight and narrow path. It is this journey that you go down and you're discovering. And I love what you said, and I want to go back to it for a second. You said, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs has a problem with this. You said you asked for help.
Yeah.
Help. what do you say for that entrepreneur that's out there, right? That's struggling right now because guess what? They're probably not asking for help, Nicole. How can you
Yeah.
encourage them?
I get this because I really did view it as a weakness. And I spent some really loving time in therapy and working with wonderful people, with my Zen teachers that gave me tools around my mind to recognize, wait, where is this coming from?
Hmm.
Who taught this to me? Right? I
Hmm.
wasn't born with this. This is what was brought on. So allowing myself to understand where it came from, I think allowed me to dismantle it. So it
Yes.
wasn't so fixed and feeling like, you know, eh, this is who I am. Like,
Right.
wait a minute. Wait. So, I don't wish my experience on anybody, but I had a like, on my knees sort of moment where thank goodness it just was like, wow, literally it doesn't work for me to not ask for help. Because the truth is that in my first marriage, things were not great for about 4 years prior to him coming to me and saying, I don't think I want to be married anymore. It wasn't, while in the moment it felt awful and horrible and like, the earth had opened up and swallowed me whole. When I really took time in a safe space with people that could help me, right? That were going to affirm my life. So
Hmm.
they're really there to help me. They're not there to tell me I'm wrong. They're not there to tell me I'm broken, but
Hmm.
they're there to actually open me up to understand better who I am. That I went, oh, this was coming. This was
Hmm.
coming. And I was so scared to accept it.
Right.
And I think too, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to this, is there's that, well, I can handle it. Like I can control this. And so, me going, I can't handle this and I have no control, just opened up the option that I had not taken, which was to ask for help. And, they say that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so when I came to that point of asking for help, the people that came into my life,
Hmm.
they were amazing people.
Hmm.
They weren't people that were taking advantage or um, suppressing me or saying, you should do this or you should do that. They really were like the energy around it. I feel like I was just ready, you know?
Right.
So I
Right.
feel like it has to always begin with some just self compassion. Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay.
Right. I love that. I love that. I love your journey. Since you're here, what's going well for you? What are you celebrating in the business now?
Well, this is actually very exciting. And you're the first person that I'm talking to about
Oh,
this.
wow. I'm so yes. You heard it
Hearing
here first.
hearing it first, but I started writing my book
Ah,
last week. And it's about 2013, but I have had it in me and I have known that I was going to write this book for 8 years. And it's like, okay, there was this first, and there were all these elements for building my business that needed to happen first, like in truth,
mm,
like understanding what I had to offer, creating a client base, creating groups, creating different offerings. Like there were a lot of things that I needed to do that were foundational to my
right.
business. And so the book just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. But I always knew in my heart because, it's like, this is why that coach was so brilliant at getting me back to this is that I love to write. Like
Right.
that is just a place of joy for me. So that has been expressed in my blog over these last years, but now that energy is being put into creating this book that I know is going to help so many people that have found themselves in these just life altering situations. And how do I use this to create the life I want moving forward?
Love that. Love that. Is there a title yet to this book or still in the works?
Oh, well, the title will be 13.
Ah,
Because if you think about it, how many cultures say 13 is an unlucky number?
mm,
And yet, in many cultures, 13 is actually a deeply sacred number.
mm,
So it's kind of, we can very easily say, well, this was horrible, but there's always, like, what is there for you? Because if it at that crossroads moment, at that moment of loss, there is such a fertile moment of growth. It's like the lotus only blooms in the mud.
right.
So it's like what comes out of that. It's like I went to Volcano National Park in Hawaii, and I was just shocked to see all of these plants growing out of the ash.
Mm,
It's like remembering that. So yeah.
love that. Love that. Love that. 13. Love it. Um, one of the things that I truly believe that business growth always starts with personal growth. And I'm curious about, what's your personal development plan? What do you do as far as in your routine that you can actually share that someone says, hey, Nicole does this, and this is a nugget that I can actually put into my life to begin to grow personally?
Oh, wow. I love this question. Well, I will first share what I do, and then let me give something simple that your audience can use. So I'm a meditator. When I started seeking, I ended up finding Zen meditation, Zen Buddhism, and it was just a yes in my whole body. It was just, this is my practice. I just knew it. And so I meditate every day. And then something that has been new for me in the last year and a half that has been completely transforming my life is qigong. So qigong is, a lot of people are familiar with tai chi, but qigong is all movements are healing. So literally every single movement is connected to an organ or a system in the body, or helping to alleviate a symptom or something like that. And it's miraculous. It's amazing. So, as far as something that your audience can do, I'm really big on people finding ways to come back into their body. So the world that we have now likes to put us all up in our head, right? Like, oh my God, it's got 5 minutes and this is happening and like all this stuff. And sometimes we're not even in our head. We're literally like, up on the ceiling, just kind of spinning. So, my tagline is who you are is your greatest power. But in order to access what I call an unstoppable confidence, you need to come back into your body.
Mm,
So that means having some way that you can, in a challenging situation, in a tense situation, just kind of come back in. So that can be as simple as just kind of touching a hand to your body, whether it
mm,
is, the heart is a great place because,
mm,
the heart is like everything, right?
right.
It's pumping all the blood through your body. Or it could be the belly, but it's just kind of a moment. There could be just a quick moment of just kind of touching, or if there was like a pain somewhere, it could be just placing a hand on perhaps where you're having that pain. And then it really is as simple as whatever was going on, to bring all of your attention to your breath. And that can happen just with 3 breaths. So, like a hand on the heart, and just as simple as placing your attention on breathing in, and you can even feel the air coming in through your nostrils. And then you can just release it out the mouth. Breathe it in through the nostrils. And one more time. So this does like so many things at once. One, it brings you to the present moment as opposed to probably what you were doing was in the future. And we don't know the future. So
Right.
it brings you back to the present moment. It brings you back into your body, because the simple act of just touching yourself is like, oh, right, I'm here. And then just like feeling the breath through the nostrils, there's that sensation. So it's like you're bringing your senses back online, and it's disengaging all of the insanity that was going on before that had you somewhere else.
Mm, love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for actually sharing that and what you do. I want to go back to what you said at the very beginning. And you begin to talk about on your journey this inner critic, right? What do you feel about this inner critic, and how are other entrepreneurs or just people in general impacted by this inner critic?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's great to just start off by saying, like, what the heck is the inner critic,
That
right?
would be a great place to start.
What is the inner critic? And, the inner critic is kind of that mix of mm, your parents and society and culture. Like, it's a whole mishmash of things that basically are just kind of bringing you down in the moment. The critic seems to come up at the most inopportune moments, maybe when you're about to give a talk or a presentation, or you're wanting to have a really important conversation or do something that you're so excited about, and the critic is just there, going there on a loop saying, no, 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 you don't get to. And so I I want to start with that, because that it kind of helps for people to go, oh, right, I know that voice. That voice that like comes in is telling me I can't when I really want to.
Right, right. I want to, but something keeps telling me, no, you can't do that.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not worthy of doing that.
yeah,
This is not
exactly.
for you. It's for other people.
And not for you. Yeah.
Hmm.
What was the second part of your question? I'm sorry.
So no, so great. So that's it. What do you feel? How do people break through that?
Yeah, so I actually have a little gift for your audience, and it's called an inner critic training to help you to break through that voice and reclaim your power, like finally reclaim your power back. And
Mm,
so what I do in this training is a 20-minute video, and I take the person through a simple process to first connect to their inner critic, because the thing is, you have to no, it's like you got to open up the closet or look under the rug. Like, you need to be able to understand what's there. And then I take you through process to actually transform it. So this is something that I think is really important, and that I say all the time to my clients, is that the way is always through. So again, there's a lot of messages out there that say that you will transcend, or, just distract yourself. Like, just don't think about it. But like, you can't say that to somebody that literally has a loop going on in their head. That's not going to be helpful to them. So, what is helpful is allowing a person to face the critic and then transform it. Because what that does, when you can transform that voice, is it starts to build a self trust that
mm,
you actually have everything you need within you.
mm,
It's not outside of you. It's not from someone giving you permission, and someone else going, that's it, I got rid of your inner critic.
right.
You get rid of your inner critic, but you do it by transforming the voice. And so this process really helps you to understand what the inner critic is actually there for. And it's not what you think. And so
Mm,
when you're able to tap into that, then the voice transforms, and then you have agency. Instead of being stuck and feeling like you're not enough, you now start to realize, wait, I do have the tool to do what I want.
mm. I love that. You said it's not what you think. Now, are they going to find out when they take the course? Okay, so they
Yeah.
need to go and actually watch the video in order to find out what it really is.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
Because
that.
it's and I went through the same thing. This was like part of my transformation I went through, and it was something that I started teaching my early clients, and they were like, "Oh my God."
Mm,
And so it's something that I've taught so many of my clients, and I constantly just see people go, wait, it's transformed. Like what was, fangs and claws and a monster and all of this stuff, it literally transforms in front of their eyes. And so it just helps with the perspective. And because the process is one that is an embodied practice,
right.
it's using the mind and the body, then it becomes something that you can draw upon each time, so that no matter when your critic arises, you have a very simple process to go through to transform it in the moment.
I love that. So, Nicole, how do they get this? Because they want to know, hey, how do they get rid of this inner critic, right? And I think, just thinking about it, I think it's a growth process because sometimes that inner critic just comes up. Just was here just morning for me, Nicole. So how do they get access to this?
Yeah, so I'm imagining on your page maybe there's a live link that they can
Sure.
get that. Okay.
We So they'll click on the live link. So what you want to basically do is click on the live link to get access to the inner critic. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's so you'll be taken to a page. You'll just enter in your name and your email, and you'll see there's me there saying, "Come on and transform your inner critic." And then the training will go directly into your inbox. That's simple.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That is great. So Nicole, question for you as we begin to close out and wrap up here. If there's another entrepreneur that's on the sideline, any advice or any valuable piece of information that you would like to share with them?
Well, because of where we are right now,
Yep.
um, I feel like two things are really important now more than ever. You always hear the sort of like you need to adapt and all that, and but I think that it's the right support. I think this is a time to really make sure that you have the right support. I have a coach. As long as I have a business, I will always have a coach because she's already been where I am.
Mhm.
And but the other thing is that I trust her implicitly. I've been working with her for 3 years, and she knows me and my business and my intentions, but she also has all of that amazing experience. So I'm very clear that she's the right support for me, that even during difficult times, if revenue is changing, or suddenly you're going, oh my gosh, I want to make this change, I don't know how, or I want to expand, I want to create a team, I don't know how, that having the right support is critical. And so that means that it really is someone that wants you to win. Like,
Right.
they show up to celebrate you. What they are bringing forward, the strategies and the growth advice, that it really is for you to win. And we all know when somebody isn't in that place. Like, we've all felt that when we're like, God, I feel like I'm being talked down to.
Right.
So I think that that would probably be the most important thing, is that you have the right support during this time, because it is a vulnerable time. It is a time where we are having to make changes as entrepreneurs. We're being tested a lot. Um, and then the other thing is community,
Yes.
which I make part of the support,
Mhm.
but I think that it's really, and I mean, I was just having a conversation with two very close friends that are also entrepreneurs. And it's just so helpful to hear what they're working on right now, during this time that is asking so much of us to just kind of reflect and pause. So the right support, and again, community, and both of those tied by, they want to see you win.
Right.
They're team members. They care about you.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Community and the right support. Right. and being around people who want you to knock it out the park, right?
Yeah.
And is willing to cheer you on and is willing to be there just to listen when you know you miss it, right?
Yeah. Because
I,
we're going to miss it. It's
right,
going to happen.
right. I know I'm gonna miss it, Nicole, but I don't need someone to kind of when I miss it go ranting about how I missed it, right?
No. It's like the worst thing possible to do in that moment.
Right, right. Absolutely. This was wonderful. Nicole, last question here. The name of the podcast is We Love Entrepreneurship. What do you love about entrepreneurship?
I feel like that's a great question, Will. I feel like this goes back to that moment of recognizing, wow, I can be fully expressed as myself
Mm,
through this. Whereas as a musical theater performer, I got put in a box a lot, especially as a woman.
mm,
And when I became an entrepreneur, it really felt like I can create the platform I desire and I can offer the things that are the full expression of me. And so it ended up, yeah, I would say that's what I love about entrepreneur. And I get so excited with my clients when they find that for themselves. You know, when they go, wait, I don't have to be what others say I have to be.
right,
I don't have to fit into a box. I'm like, no, you create it.
right.
And then you build that beautiful audience and the support team around you that is just as excited about this as you are. And trust me, you will find them when you are energetically like doing what you want to be doing.
Love that. Love that, Nicole. Nicole Rogers. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing so much, and thank you for the free gift.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for letting me offer it.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, Nicole. We will stay in contact, and I will see you soon.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.